This Prime Minister is so desperate now, he's so on the run, that he resorted just to outright lies. Outright lies.
KEIR STARMER fumes as Nigel Farage sparks public uproar with new claims. You're not going to believe what just happened. Because while most people were focused on the usual Westminster noise, the debates, the speeches, the poll, something far more explosive unfolded right in front of the cameras. And it didn't take long before the entire country started talking. Nigel Farage stepped out with a statement, a bold, unapologetic claim that immediately sent shockwaves across the political landscape. And almost instantly, Labour headquarters felt the tremor. KEIR STARMER, usually calm, measured, and controlled, was visibly irritated, some even say furious, as the clip went viral. So, what exactly did Farage say? Why did it hit such a nerve? And why does this moment feel like it could shift the tone of British politics heading into the next cycle? Let's break this down. Farage was speaking at a public event, nothing unusual. But halfway through the Q&A session, he pivoted into a territory that caught everyone off guard. No script. No briefing. Just straight talk. And that's where things ignited. He raised a concern that's been bubbling under the surface for months: the growing distrust between voters and the political class, especially around transparency, governance, and decisions made behind closed doors. Farage framed it as something the public deserves honest answers about, and he didn't call anyone corrupt, he didn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing, but he did suggest that certain decisions coming out of Starmer's leadership aren't aligning with what voters were promised. That one line, that's the one that lit the fire. Because it wasn't just a criticism, it was a challenge. And the reaction from KEIR STARMER's circle was immediate. Within hours, Labour MPs were already on social media pushing back. A senior Labour advisor, speaking to a political journalist, said, "This is Farage stirring the pot again. None of these suggestions reflect reality, but of course he knows exactly how to spark outrage." But here's where things got interesting. The public didn't dismiss it. Quite the opposite. Comments flooded platforms: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, the usual battlegrounds. One user wrote, "Why does it always take Farage to say what everyone else is thinking?" Another said, "Starmer dodges too much. Farage just calls it out." And then, the clip kept spreading. Millions of views. Thousands of shares. Dozens of reaction videos. Even journalists who rarely comment on Farage publicly had to weigh in. One political correspondent wrote, "Farage has an unmatched ability to shift the conversation with a single sentence. Starmer's team will not like this." Now let's be fair and balanced. Starmer himself didn't make a direct response on camera. He didn't release a statement. But during a community event later that day, a reporter asked him about Farage's remarks. And that's where the tone changed. Starmer paused, looked visibly frustrated, and responded with, "Look, I'm focused on delivering what this country needs. Others can play politics, that's their choice." Short sentence, but loaded. His expression said the rest: frustrated, irritated, and some might say challenged. Because here's the truth. Farage didn't present evidence. He didn't accuse Starmer of wrongdoing. He simply voiced a criticism that already existed in the public conversation. But when Nigel Farage says it, it hits different. It becomes national news within minutes. And Starmer, who has spent months trying to project stability and control, suddenly found the narrative slipping away from him again. Behind the scenes, insiders say Labour has been trying to avoid confrontations with Farage, especially now that he's gained renewed visibility in public debate. One advisor reportedly told a broadcaster, "Engaging with Farage gives him more oxygen, but ignoring him lets his claims grow. It's a lose-lose situation." That's the tension right now, and it's exactly why this moment became so heated. Farage knows the power he holds in shaping public perception. Starmer knows that too. And both men understand that one viral exchange can shift public opinion for days, even weeks. Why are people so reactive to political tension right now? Why does every clash, every quote, every slip of the tongue feel like it carries the weight of a national crisis? Because Britain is in a moment of uncertainty socially, economically, politically. Voters feel squeezed, ignored, and misled. So when someone like Farage voices frustration, a lot of people feel validated. And when Starmer responds with irritation, Some interpret it as leadership under pressure. This is the emotional battlefield. This is where modern politics is fought not in policy papers, but in viral clips and public reactions. And then came the analysts. One political commentator said in a late-night broadcast, "The real issue here isn't whether Farage is right or wrong. It's the fact that one statement caused this level of reaction. That tells you how fragile the political trust landscape is right now." Another added, "Starmer cannot afford to appear rattled." But today, he did. Strong words, and they echo what many viewers felt watching the clips. So what happens next? Farage is likely to double down. He always does when public momentum is on his side. Starmer's team, on the other hand, is already strategizing. Expect more controlled messaging, more community-facing appearances, and likely a shift in tone to regain narrative control. But the bigger question, the one everyone is whispering right now, is this. If one statement from Farage can shake the conversation this much, what happens when the next wave hits? Because moments like this don't disappear, they build, they stack. They create tension that eventually forces a reckoning in public discourse. And as the dust settles, we're left with the same lingering question. Is this just another headline, or the beginning of a much bigger political storm? Whatever comes next, it's going to be loud. And the country will be watching every second.